Hello, 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 and welcome back to another edition of Fan Talk, your favorite podcast by your favorite fan. That is me, of course, Kyle Brenchley, in the house on this Tuesday. The podcast is going up on a Tuesday. We are so glad you're here. Welcome to Fan Talk. If this is your first time tuning in, well, you're in the right spot, because this is a podcast by the fans, for the fans, and we have a lot of fun here. We've been talking a lot of football recently, and we will continue that trend this week. Of course, the College Football National Championship wrapped up last night. We'll put a bow on the season and talk about that and implications moving forward. And we have conference championships in the NFL, AFC and NFC, some very intriguing matchups with some very interesting storylines. We'll be talking about that as well. And 2016 trend, you've been seeing that on TikTok, on Instagram. That's happening in sports too. I'll tell you about that in just a moment. But first, welcome to Fan Talk. If this is your first time here, welcome. Fan Talk can be found anywhere you get your podcasts. I also upload on YouTube. If you appreciate the video version, if you are watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and comment down below. I really appreciate it. And let's jump right in. Sign, posters, almost forgot. College football. I've been talking about this since August. I've been talking about this for the last 5 months, and we have finally gotten to the end of the college football season. It's always sad when college football comes to an end. It's kind of like Christmas time. You know, the anticipation of Christmas is just so awesome. And then you're in the season. It's finally December. You're in the Christmas season, and it's just so great. You enjoy every second of it, and you just wish it would last forever. And then Christmas Day finally comes, and it's here, and it's amazing. And you open gifts, you spend time with family. It's awesome. But then December 20th comes, and you realize that Christmas won't be back for 364 more days. Similar feeling with college football. During the summer, you're just so excited. I can't wait for August. I can't wait for September. I can't wait for the season to start. The season starts, you're just so in it. You love it every single week. There's a million college football games. If you have YouTube TV, you can watch 4 games at a time. And then we get to the college football playoff. And we have exciting games, and you just wish these games could keep going. And then we get to the final, the national championship. And this year, it was a phenomenal game. Went right down to the very last play. And then now it's over. Now it's over, and we have to pick up the presents and put them away and throw away the wrapping paper and take down the decorations and move on to something new. But we are so excited to talk about this today because it was a phenomenal game. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the college football playoff is essentially the postseason for college football. The best of the best make it, right? And we've whittled down teams all the way to the national championship. Only 2 teams remained, number 1 Indiana and number 10 Miami. Now, very interesting things about both these teams I'll tell you about in just a second, but let's look at the game. At first, it seemed like this game was going to be very much low scoring. Indiana had the advantage. 10-0 to end the half. It looked like Miami's offense could not do anything. Now, Indiana's got a very good defense, very stout defense. And their offense is just so efficient that their defense really puts them in really good positions. That's how they beat Oregon. That's how they've beaten Alabama, is that they just shut down the other team so the other team couldn't even get close, and the offense didn't have to do too much. Just very efficient, very efficient. So I thought that perhaps was going to happen, 10-0 and the half. But then Miami, as they do, Miami's got the culture. Miami's got the heart. And sometimes in college football, that is more important than being efficient. And Miami was able to get themselves back into this game and almost win it. They honestly had a shot to win it. They honestly probably could have won it, to be completely honest. The momentum had swung in their favor. Miami was driving. They had their 6th-year quarterback in Carson Beck. He had been there before. He's been to the College Football Playoff National Championship twice before. Things were looking good. But, of course, Indiana's defense stepped up. Carson Beck underthrows it, intercepted by Indiana. Indiana kneels it and wins the game. Fantastic game. You see Fernando Mendoza's diving touchdown. That was spectacular. That was pretty cool. Definitely Heisman winner. I mean, I had my doubts before. A lot of people are saying he was the weakest Heisman winner in a long time, and maybe he still is, but hey, he made plays when it mattered most, and you sat on your couch and judged him. So That's all I got to say about that. Fantastic game. Indiana, Miami. I don't think a lot of people thought Miami would get there. Indiana, of course, the perfect season, changing the narrative of college football. Let's start with Miami. I've said this before a million times, was not projected throughout the entire season to make the college football playoff. What they do is they release weekly rankings, ranking the top 12 teams, because that's how many teams make the college football playoff. And throughout the season, you track where you're ranked in the college football playoff ranking. And it can be very easy for teams to think that they're safe. For example, Notre Dame was ranked in the college football playoff rankings the entirety of the season. So in their minds, they're probably thinking, okay, we're in right now. We just need to keep winning. There's nothing we can do to lose our spot other than losing. So if we don't lose, we're fine. And then they proceed not to lose. They keep winning and they get left out. Because in the 11th hour, the committee decided Miami deserved to be in because Miami had actually beaten Notre Dame earlier in the year, the head-to-head. That's one of the things the committee looks at when they're considering which team should be in. Head-to-head results, strength of schedule, product on the field, strength of opponent, different things like that. And so it was misleading. It was very misleading. But even with that, even the committee was like, we have these teams in. It's very easy to say, oh, we have these teams in. We don't want to move them. Miami could have missed out too if they would have included Notre Dame, if they included BYU and not Miami. And then Miami goes on to the national championship. So a team that was not projected to be in the entire year, that was this close to missing out on the college football playoff, makes it to the national championship. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? Let me know down below. What it tells me is that the committee maybe doesn't know as much as we think they do. As much as they think they do. Let's be frank. They think they know the best teams in college football. I don't know if they do. I think there is an element and there is something to having a limited number of spots, and not every team is going to make that. Even good teams, like BYU was a good team, they didn't make it. Notre Dame was a good team, they didn't make it, right? Vanderbilt, Texas, those are two good teams that didn't make it, right? Michigan. So there's something to be said about good teams that still don't make it. But what the committee's job is to put the teams that are most deserving, right? Is that a correct statement by me, right? They look at strength of schedule, they look at the product on the field, they look at head-to-head, they look at these things and say, okay, which of these teams most align with these values that we have set up to determine who gets into the college football playoff? Which teams do that? And this year, they thought Notre Dame did not align with those things. They thought BYU did not align with those things. They thought Alabama did, and they thought Miami did, right? Those were the two controversial picks. So very, very interesting. Moving forward, what will the College Football Playoff Committee do? Will they expand it to 16 teams? I know a lot of people are saying they should do that. I don't know if we should rush to do that quite yet. Maybe we do another year of 12, but we alter maybe some of the criteria, or we switch up the committee, or do something, right? What will they do moving forward? Will this season and college football playoff be an example, a wake-up call to them? Who knows? We'll see. Now let's move on to Indiana. Indiana. To put this into perspective, Indiana has won 6 bowl games. So the college football playoff, they're considered bowl games. If you don't make the playoff, then you play in a different bowl game. Anyways, they've made 6 bowl games in their entire history of the school since 1899. And 3 of those bowl wins came this season. So before this season, they had won 3 bowl games in 127 years. And they won 3 this postseason. Indiana has not been relevant since the 90s. And even then, relevance a very kind word. Indiana has totally flipped the script of college football. It has shown us that powerhouse teams, blue bloods like Ohio State, like Alabama, these teams aren't guaranteed to win it every single year. Now, they might be in the conversation, they might be in the mix. I'm not going to say Ohio State's going to go 6-6, Alabama's going to go 3-9. No, that's not going to happen. But teams like Indiana, teams that have won more bowl games this year than they had in their previous 127 years. Teams like that can do that, and that's today's game with the transfer portal, with coaches going places, with players following them, with NIL. That is today's game. Whether you like it or not, that is today's game. I think it's good for the sport in some ways. I think it's not necessarily bad, but we need to be wary of it in other ways. But it has changed college football forever. Congratulations to Indiana, 16-0, winning their first national championship. Absolutely incredible. Fantastic season. We will not be talking college football much anymore, probably until August. So hang tight for another 7 months. But we will keep talking football because, of course, there is something after the rainbow, and that is the NFL. And how about divisional weekend in the NFL? Let's start with the Denver Broncos and the Buffalo Bills, providing one of the most exciting games of the postseason, with the Denver Broncos coming out on top in overtime, 33-30 over the Bills. Josh Allen loses again. Josh Allen has never won in overtime, regular season, postseason. Josh Allen has never made it to the Super Bowl. Josh Allen every single year loses in the playoffs, and because of that, the Bills have fired Sean McDermott, the head coach of the Buffalo Bills. And they said, we need to make a change. You're out, Sean. Which sucks. That sucks. Sean McDermott's a very good coach. But the world of sports is cruel. If you're doing the same thing over and over again, making the playoffs every single year, having a very fantastic quarterback who is in the MVP race every single year, but then you just don't ever win, so you don't even make it to the big game, something's got to change. And unfortunately, the head coach is the first one to go. You feel bad for Josh Allen. I respect Josh Allen so much, and in every other scenario, I would have been rooting for him. But when he's playing the Denver Broncos, my team, sorry, bro. Tough luck, But the sting of defeat and the sweetness of victory for the Denver Broncos, bad news. Unfortunately, Bo Nix, the quarterback for the Denver Broncos, fractured his ankle on the second to last play of the game, and the Broncos will not have him next week in the AFC Championship when they host the New England Patriots. Backup quarterback Jarrett Stidham will step in. Jarrett Stidham, pretty solid backup, but hasn't played in an NFL game since the 2023 season. So could be interesting. Could be very interesting. Not getting my hopes up, but my hopes are not dead. There is a chance. So don't sleep on the Denver Broncos this weekend. I know the Patriots are heavy favorites. Should be a fantastic game regardless. The last time the New England Patriots and the Denver Broncos played in the AFC Championship was 10 years ago. Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning. Broncos won that game and went on to win Super Bowl 50 over the Carolina Panthers. Every time the New England Patriots come to Denver in the postseason for AFC Conference Championship, they are turned away. Broncos 2-0 against the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. Should be a fun one. That game's on Sunday. On the NFC side, the Seahawks absolutely obliterated the 49ers. The Seahawks look really good. The Rams took down the Bears in overtime. Fantastic game. Caleb Williams took huge strides this season. Watch out for the Bears next year. But the Rams, the better team in this scenario, they will play the Seahawks. Should be a fantastic NFC and AFC Conference Championship weekend. As I mentioned before, Patriots, Broncos, Rams, Seahawks. Now let me tell you why this reminds us of 2016. As I mentioned earlier, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, 10 years ago, played in this AFC Conference Championship game. Can you believe that was 10 years ago? I still can't believe that 2016 was 10 years ago. Broncos came out on top. They went on to the Super Bowl. Seahawks and Rams, this is very reminiscent of years ago when the Seahawks were really good and were making the NFC Championship game every single year. They would either go on to play the Broncos or the Patriots, right? So it's very, very interesting how 10 years later we are in a very similar spot with very much the same, if not more, on the line for all of these franchises. Patriots, Broncos, let me know who you guys think will win down below. Rams, Seahawks, who's going on to Super Bowl 60? Should be very, very exciting. I'm super excited for the NFL season to continue on. I know it's going to end soon. It's going to end here soon, but it's all right. It'll be fine. We're super excited. We'll be talking a lot of college basketball. We'll bring more NBA into the mix here as well as we shift away from football. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Fan Talk this week. Again, Fan Talk, you can find me anywhere you get your podcast, wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching. Please leave a like, leave a comment. I really appreciate the support. And I'll see you guys next week for another edition of Fan Talk.